On your Wednesday episode of Locked On Raptors, if anyone's going to unseat Victor Wembanyama from winning Defensive Player of the Year, it's got to be Scottie Barnes, right?
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Wednesday, January the 28th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Raptors now for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server, link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join. As always, great place to come talk ball among friends. And the trade deadline's a week away. That means there's all kinds of stuff going on in the fake trade sickos chat. It's a great time. Come hang out in our little listener community over there on the Discord. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, just bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win with the big game coming up soon. And we are off and running here on your Wednesday edition of the podcast, welcoming in one of the newest members of the Locked On Raptors family. He's one of the co-hosts of the Locked On Raptors Postcast, live after every single Raptors game, doing the thing that I frankly do not have the hustle to do, which is go live right after games and talk about them. It is Canadian pro hooper, and of course, the co-host was Zelfie on those postcasts. It is Duane Notice. Duane, how the hell are you, pal?
I'm great. Early morning, love it. Had a great time. Just starting off with Z doing the postcast has been an amazing journey, and I'm happy to see how it evolves. But it's been a great time, especially because the Raptors are winning. I'm not trying to say we're a good luck charm, but maybe we're onto something over here.
Look, man, 4-1 since you guys started doing the postcast, and you guys were a big part of the late night fun that the Toronto Raptors were putting out. It's like we can't rule anything out at this point. We'll see if it continues tonight. Raptors Knicks, again, the postcast tonight you can check out right as the game finishes up. But today we're not talking about games, Duane. We're talking about awards. The Toronto Raptors are a good team again, which means their names of guys on the team are going to come up when it comes to various awards conversations as we get to the close of the season. I want to do a little bit of a temperature check on a few guys who could be in line for some hardware. We're going to talk about Scottie Barnes, Defensive Player of the Year stuff, all defense stuff off the top. We got Darko Rajakovic, Coach of the Year, his case kind of building as the Raptors climb the standings. And then Collin Murray-Boyles, slow start among a really, really great class of rookies, but over the last month or so seems to have put himself squarely in the conversation to be at least on an all-rookie team, maybe first team. We'll get into that later on. But Duane, Scottie Barnes, you guys watched the game Sunday like everybody else, what he did to Chet Holmgren at the end of that game, what he did to the Thunder for the entirety of that game, what he's been doing to opposing offenses basically start to finish this season has been insane. He's obviously got the counting stats, which make him like a sexy pick for this type of award. And the underlying numbers are also there, kind of improving as the season goes along as well. For you, Duane, look, we have to accept that Victor Wembanyama is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year anytime he plays more than 65 games throughout the rest of his career, because he is a singular entity unto himself on defense. He is a one-man rim protector. It's unbelievable what he does. It's kind of an unfair comparison point to be made to anyone, but does Scottie Barnes to you figure to be, if not the most likely, one of the most likely dudes to potentially win this award if, in fact, Victor Wembanyama cannot play the full 65 games this year? He's missed some time. He seems to be healthy right now, but we'll see. Scottie's got to be in the conversation, right?
Yeah, he does. And that's always been the knock on Wemby, right? It's just his health, so you never know what could happen. But if it wasn't for the creative player of Wemby, then, of course, I'm going with the DPOY for Scottie, man, doing his thing. Because Scottie's defensive value isn't just about getting stops, in my opinion. It's also about how he structures that the structure he provides to the Raptors and what they're trying to do defensively on that end. But his position versatility, I think, is something that we have to know. I'm a big LeBron James fan, so back in the day, just knowing how LeBron would guard, never forget that game with the Miami Heat versus the Lakers. He was guarding, the point guard at 1 second, then guarding Pau Gasol the other second. I feel like that's what Scottie brings to the table. He legitimately guards 1 through 5 in the same possession, and he's not just switching late shot clock like other bigs do. He's starting possessions on guards. He's picking up as early as 94 feet or from the opposite free throw line, providing that pressure, always contesting at the rim. I think that's very rare for a guy his size, but his defensive playmaking and his rim protection is definitely something that we have to continue to give the flowers to, because Toronto doesn't really play like a drop heavy style of defense where they funnel their guards have to pick and roll to the shot blocker. Their defense kind of relies on anticipation, disruption, and recovery. And Scottie is the engine of that. And he jumps the passing lanes without gambling, which is very big. A lot of, teammates and a lot of players and other teams, opposing teams, try to jump the passing lane and gamble. And it, bodes not well for them because they're ending up, missing that opportunity and that steal. But his deflections are the type of deflections that kill actions before they develop. And I think that's a big thing for the Raptors going forward, because that dictates their pace. It turns their defense into instant offense. And right now, I believe they're, at the top of the league with 19.2, being one of the fastest teams in the NBA right now, running the ball. So Scottie is a catalyst of that. So yeah, we have to look at him, man. Like, we saw what he did with Chet Holmgren. He's not afraid of anybody. He's able to guard his yard. You can't put him on an island. He's not a mismatch for anybody. So again, he has to be in that conversation, because he doesn't only just protect space, but he also protects the possessions that we need when the Raptors really need it the most.
100%, man. Like, he's just wearing every single hat you could possibly ask a single defensive player to wear. And I think it's also important to note that he's done this, and this will come up when we talk about Collin Murray-Boyles later too, but he's done this without the help of what we all thought was going to be the team's sort of backline rim protector, and Jakob Poeltl, who, again, he's not like the greatest rim protector in the world, but he's solid, he's good. And last year, Scottie and Poeltl together on the floor, basically in any configuration with any set of other players, was a damn good backline for their defense. It was the biggest sort of catalyst for how they turned things around in the second half. And to carry over that success from last year to this year, when they're actually playing competitive real games without Poeltl for more than half of the games, is, I think, a huge credit to Scottie. And look, I don't think, outside of Wemby, I don't think there's a single player, I don't think you can even make an argument that there's a single player in the league more responsible for his team's defensive success than Scottie Barnes. You look at the other teams that are kind of up there in the defensive charts, Detroit, that is very much like defense by committee. Maybe Beef Stew is kind of like the closest thing to a standout, incredible defensive player, but he's like a six man, right? Like, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year unless they're going the Matisse Thybulle route with the all defense nod. He shouldn't have gotten over OG Anunoby back in the day. I'm not mad about it at all. But you look at the Houston Rockets, Ahmed Thompson, incredible, but like, that team is just enormous with arms and defenders and rim protection all over the place. The Minnesota Timberwolves, as much as Rudy Gobert has maybe the best statistical case in terms of like the underlying numbers for being Defensive Player of the Year, that team has a lot of defensive infrastructure around him as well. The Raptors, and we'll get into this when we talk about Darko with Coach of the Year too. It's not like the Raptors are chock full of like incredible defensive players in support of Scottie Barnes. Collin Murray-Boyles has certainly helped. He's been fantastic from the jump, but Scottie just does a little bit of everything and does it as sort of like the linchpin of everything they're doing. It's wildly impressive what he's done, while also having the best offensive season of his career as well. Going to the sort of underlying numbers here, Duane, if you're going to kind of poke holes in Scottie's case, and, this is what happens when voters do this stuff, right? Like, they have to kind of evaluate everything. The on-off splits are not like blow you away impressive with Scottie. The Raptors are 3.9 points per 100 better on defense when Scottie's on the floor versus off, which is very good. That's like top quarter of the league on cleaning the glass. That's solid as hell. You compare that to Rudy Gobert, 14.2 points per 100 better when he's on the floor versus when he's off defensively. Victor Wembanyama, 10.8 points differential when he's on versus off. Chet Holmgren, even 5.4 points per 100. I think those are probably other guys you'd throw into like the real race to be Defensive Player of the Year if Wemby can't make it. And by the way, Wemby's played 31 games, 32 games, I think it is. And the Spurs have already played 46. So he can miss 4 more games for the rest of the season. So keep an eye on that. I guess for you, like, do you care much about those on-off metrics when you kind of look at the full picture here? Do you think there's something in there that kind of belies what we're seeing with Scottie defensively that maybe is something we're not picking up on, that sort of like is a deficiency of any kind? Or is that just kind of noisy stuff, and it's generally just been a team that overall has been pretty good on defense, and so when he's off the floor, guys are making it work enough so that the splits aren't that catastrophic when he's away?
Yeah, I'm going with the latter, Sean. I'm going with what you said at the end there, just because I know how much that I love stats, don't get me wrong, I love analytics, but if you remove Scottie from this defense, Toronto wouldn't it be just worse? I mean, I think they'd have to change how they guard entirely. So he's definitely the main reason, the key component for why they do what they do. He anchors their defense. So whether he's on the court or not, I think that defense is all about trust. I talk to Z about this all the time, but Scottie is the one guy you trust to make those right decisions every time the possession breaks down. And I think that whether he's on the court, whether he's on the bench, he's a catalyst for that because he's so vocal. How many times do we see him on the bench being vocal? How many times do we see him on the court be vocal, communicating coverages when it comes to the pick and roll, or just being in the help side situation, being the low man? And I think that him having to guard, some of the toughest guards on an everyday matchup is something to be commendable for. But yeah, I don't think it's anything to look too deep into. I think Scottie is the head of the snake when it comes to defense. We have to take into account for his impact in practice, his impact on the bench. So of course, when you have a team that's coached by Darko and who's under the Toronto lights, and frankly, ever since I've been a Toronto Raptors fan since 1995, they've always been the type of team that competes at a high level. So yes, they might not have the glitz and the glamour of the best stars, but they're always going to do the dog work, the trench work. And Scottie is just an example of that. So, of course, the Raptors are going to have other players that are going to rise to the occasion. And when you have a leader like Scottie on defense, it's going to inspire the other teammates to want to go hard and give that consistent effort on the defensive end. So that's why the splits may have looked like that. But again, if you take Scottie completely away from this defense, then I don't think the Raptors would be as successful on that end.
Totally. That's something Jamal Shed himself has talked about, right? Where it's like, yeah, we see what Scottie does on defense and we kind of feel like we have to do it ourselves because he's setting such a crazy standard. Like there is certainly like an osmosis effect, I think, from what Scottie's doing to how the rest of the team is kind of bought in on that end. And like to your point, like the way they play, the scrambling, the rotation, the amount of ground they have to cover to fill in when they are aggressive, when they are hunting turnovers and it doesn't work, whatever it is, when they send extra help to the ball, like that doesn't work unless everyone is totally bought in and on the string. And like you said, head of the snake, 100%. Yeah, man, he's incredible. He has been an absolute treat to watch on the defensive end. And look, I think he's clearly a lock to be on an all defense team, first or second. I think he should clearly be on the first team based on what he's done. And, again, if Wemby misses 4 more games, I think you're looking at Scottie Barnes, if this success continues, as a very legitimate threat to actually win the damn thing, which is like one of the most impressive things anyone can do in the NBA is win Defensive Player of the Year. It's a very, very hard thing to do. Duane, we're going to come back on the side, talk about a thing that we have seen Raptors coaches do kind of a lot in recent memory, which is win Coach of the Year. We'll talk about Darko, who's done a damn good job, and whether he's got a shot coming up in just one sec.
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage, we got tuition, we got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LocdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LocdownNBA. That's ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
Back out here with Duane Notice talking about awards contenders on your Toronto Raptors. Before we dive into Darko Rajakovic, just a reminder, the Locked On Raptors Every Dayer Club is open for you to sign on up. The link is in the description of the podcast. It's $5 a month, $50 for the year. Gets you ad-free episodes of the show every single day. So no interruptions, just me and whoever my guest is, which is a better pitch than just me. In your ears, no breaks. That's a lovely thing. You also get access to our Locked On Discord. It's a Discord for the entire Locked On network and listeners. There's like 1,000 people in there talking all kinds of things, different specific team chats for each show, league-wide chats that are really fun. Come hang out. Great place to talk ball and other sports among friends. Again, link in the description of the podcast to sign up for the Everydayer Club. All right, Duane. Darko Rajakovic has done a damn good job this year, man. And it's been really fun to watch him get a chance to like coach a normal team for the first time in his 3 years with the team. The last couple of years, obviously fractured. The first year was all full of will they, won't they trade these guys? And eventually they did trade those guys. And then the back half of the season was kind of a mess. And then injuries came in and it was just like totally disjointed, couldn't evaluate anything at all. And last year, they basically said from the jump, yeah, we're not really trying to win. And then Emmanuel quickly missed half the season and they had all the injury issues. And it was just like a broken year from which you couldn't glean a whole lot of like valuable, useful information, apart from the sort of buy-in I thought Darko elicited from the team last year. Again, they had a really strong finish on the defensive end. They sort of played the offense the way Darko wanted to play it. Maybe they didn't have the talent on hand to connect on all of the shots they were creating within that, but the process was there and everyone seemed pretty bought in. And for a team that won 30 games, the vibes felt pretty high last season. This year, it seems to have carried over, and now they are one win away from winning 30 games. It's been quite a turnaround. What have your impressions of Darko been in his third year on the job, and kind of, again, his first year of like actually getting to try to win basketball games, which is what coaches ostensibly are there to do?
I think Darko's been excellent. I mean, he deserves the Coach of the Year recognition, not only because they went alone, but because Toronto has an identity again. I think that's the biggest thing for the culture of the city, is that the Raptors feel like they have a direction in which they're going in. You look at the development without chaos, right? And as someone who's played in the 905 system, I understand how much and impactful it is that they have that coaching development that allows the players to develop, get reps, and get better in real time. So you see the young players that are improving within the structure of Darko, but they're not just freelancing. How many times do we see players, whether it's Jacoby Walter, whether it's AJ Lawson, shout out my dog, went to South Carolina as well, or other players who are getting plugged into the system. And as a casual fan, you probably watch the game and be like, who is this guy? And guys like Shed who are actually holding their own. It's not, and Grady Dick is another example of that. But these are players that you can put into the system. They'll play well. They'll do what is asked of them and do what's required. And they'll play basketball the right way, Darko's way, the Raptors way. And that's a testament to the development. And I think the greatest thing about the Raptors this year is how intentional they are. That you see quickly the clear offensive reads. You see that the defense has defined roles, and you see that there's a lot of accountability without fear. You see Scottie holding guys accountable, Scottie holding himself accountable as a leader. And then you talked about the process. So for me, it's process over panic. And that's what the Raptors kind of got into over the last little bit of the season. But even during their losing stretches, you kind of feel that the Raptors don't abandon their principles. And that's a sign of great, consistent coaching to me. Yeah. I've been on a lot of teams like that where you have mantras, we have philosophies. And yeah, you can go through a 2 or 3 game losing streak, but it's when you have the guys that stick together and they rise through that adversity, I think and when they overcome, that's how the team continues to get better. And Darko is the leader of that. And then the modern offense, like I said, the 0.5 offense is so impressive. We see the pace, we see the movement, the decision-making, and it's not just handoffs or just ball movement for the sake of it. It's actually moving the ball with intention and getting into the paint. And I just think it's a great thing that you said about Darko and his buy-in, because a lot of people, it's hard for you to listen to a young coach or play for a young coach or play for a coach who doesn't have much experience in the NBA, but he's a guy that allows his players to rotate hard, they sprint, they get back, they communicate, and I think Toronto does all those things at a high level. So, and one of the last things I'll say too is I had the opportunity to actually, work out with the Raptors over the past few years, just within the system. And one of the first things Darko did when he met me and some of the other players from Toronto was just thank us for being there. So just him embracing the Toronto culture and him just looking at everybody with respect and seeing the value in everybody. Like, he's like, yo, thank you for getting us better. Thank you for helping us get better today. We had a whole big circle. He gives everybody the floor. He just makes it feel warm, welcoming. And I think it's more of a family aspect. And when you have a coach that cares about you beyond those lines, the sidelines, the baseline, and cares about you as a man and your character outside of just a basketball player, I think that goes a long way. So we're seeing just the examples of Darko. And I know, like you said, he's young in his tenure at the Raptors and coaching, but he's doing a great job so far. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to see him win this award. We've seen Dwayne Casey get it before, but I won't be mad at it coming back to Toronto again with Darko doing what he's doing, especially if the Raptors are able to continue to play at a high level like they are now.
Yeah, man. Like, I think so much in there I love. I just there was the talk when he came to Toronto, right? All the sort of stories, the Desmond Bain and the, guys from Memphis and guys from OKC and Phoenix who just kind of sung the praises of Darko so loudly. And like, yeah, this guy like cares about us. And like Gary Trent Jr., I remember very early on kind of talked about this too. And, you can have that and that can be nice. And that can, if you're in a losing environment, like it's a nice thing to hang on to. It's quite a different thing for that also to kind of translate into winning and for that to kind of still be a through line. And like, I don't know. I'm just wildly impressed by Darko, man. I'm impressed by him just as like a dude. I'm impressed by the way he kind of sees the full picture. I think the way he looks at sort of 82 games as like a slog that needs to be navigated with intention, and you can't get too up, can't get too down, all that stuff. Like, I think you feel his sort of philosophies flow into the team. Like, it's very, very obvious. And I think it even made, like, when they had that stretch early in the year, they go on the 14-5 start, and then they lose a bunch in December. I think sort of you had the fan base over here wilding out, be like, oh my God, everything's terrible. Like destroy the team. It's awful. Like get rid of everyone. And then you had Darko, and just like the team felt way more even keel about it, like than you'd expect from a team in the midst of a stretch like that. And I think that again speaks to the kind of everything you were going into right there, like just like the sort of level-headedness, the commitment to the process, all that stuff. Like it's all corny and stuff until it actually translates to winning. And now it's actually winning. It's like, oh crap, this maybe actually kind of works and is a way that like coaches should interact with adult men who are playing basketball for their team, as opposed to like yelling all the time or whatever it is you want from your sort of more hardened old school types. I just, I've said this before. Darko's an easy guy to root for. He's clearly a good dude. It's nice to see a good dude find success. And I think, in the sort of coach of the year hierarchy, look, it's a tough award to win because there's always good coaching performances. I think for the Raptors, like you have to probably be a top 4 seed if you're going to get in the mix for this award, one would think. I know Jordan Ott on the Suns is really kind of in the mix just because they were expected to be so bad and they have been so impressive on there. And they're kind of like the bizarro Raptors in that they're like elite on defense, surprisingly, kind of in the exact same ballpark on offense. Not really expected to be as good as they've been. I'm excited to see those two teams play coming up soon because, they feel very much like the Spider-Man meme. Yep. But I am like, I think Darko's got to be at least top 3, right? Like Jordan Ott, I think Joe Mazzulla, considering no Jason Tatum and the Celtics just kind of turning a bunch of Luka Garza types into very effective regular season, winning basketball players. And then I think Darko's got to be right in there, right? I know, maybe JB Bickerstaff with the Pistons winning as much as they've won. Maybe you look at Mitch Johnson with the Spurs with how good they've been, although that feels very much like a product of Wemby more than anything else. I don't know. Is top 3 fair to you? Like, it's a tough award to win. Before the season, one of my bold predictions was he was going to be one of the top 3 in the final voting. Feeling pretty good about that one right now. Obviously, things can change, but the way things are tracking, and especially the way they've turned this defense, going back to the Scottie stuff and the defense as a whole, like they've turned a team that had coming into the year what I would have classified as like 2 or 3 above average defenders into a top 5 defense, and they've been there all year long. That's wildly impressive. It's player development, it's scheming, it's all that stuff. Like the case is pretty ironclad if you're looking at Darko as one of the heavy hitter contenders for this award. No?
Yeah, I definitely think he should be top 3. I think he made a bold prediction, but I think it's proven to be right, man. Just coach of the year isn't always about who surprised the league. Sometimes it's about who built something sustainable, and we're seeing Darko do that, and he's doing that at a great level. And you talked about it. Coaching is weird because you can't kind of implement the same thing to every player. Players need different things. You can't, cuss and scream at every single player. You can't hold everybody accountable in front of everybody. It's such a weird line and weird game. And that's why I'm not coaching right now. It's so tough. But to manage personalities, but like you said, Darko is doing a great job of just being the type of coach the Raptors need. When he needs to get on someone, he gets on someone, but he does it in a way that's communicating at a high level, very articulate, and he's able to get the maximum effort and performances from these players because he knows how to relate to them. So having a coach that is more of like a player's coach in the sense that maybe he played ball back in the day, or he just knows how to align himself with these personalities, I think has been very crucial to their success. And like you talked about, there's other coaches who are doing a great job. I know the NBA is all about storylines, of course, but man, you cannot not give credit to Darko and what the Raptors are doing right now. So I see him in the top 3 when it comes to the final. But I do think you made a great point, Sean, that the Raptors do have to finish the top 4 seed in the East at the very least for him to be considered in that contention. But when that happens, I think that we should definitely be looking towards Darko's way as probably the top guy for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, man. He's been impressive as hell. And I mean, even just like the stuff today that I think on like the open gym clips they send out, like him just like talking to players about what the team and staff are doing for them to kind of make them aware of, hey, we're shoveling your driveways for you and stuff like that. And just kind of making sure everyone has like a whole holistic view of everything going on. Like, it's just like, I don't know, man, he's a pretty good dude to be having guiding the ship in basically every facet. And to your point, just like as people person-y as people can get, he's awesome. We're going to come back on the other side, get into Collin Murray-Boyles, who is probably not going to win Rookie of the Year, but is putting together an all-rookie case for sure. He's going to the Rising Stars game, and I am excited to dive into what has been just one of the most delightful rookie seasons I can remember in recent memory for the Raptors. We'll get to that coming up in just a sec. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing your favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, it's the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. I watched football over the weekend for the first time in a long time because there was snow in a playoff game, and I thought that was fun. And then it was a 10-7 stinker. But maybe the Super Bowl will be better, right? It's got to be better than that. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's show is also brought to you by TurboTax. I've told you before, I hate doing my taxes. It stinks, and I'm an independent contractor who has many weird jobs. It is impossible to do my taxes and not rip my hair out, and that is why this year I'm turning to TurboTax all in service. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every single deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it, especially if you're like me and hate doing life admin. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February the 28th and you're all set to go. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Wrapping things up here with Duane Notice, awards watch for your Toronto Raptors. And looking at Collin Murray-Boyles, who, it's a loaded rookie class, Duane. He's probably not going to win Rookie of the Year. Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, they seem to be kind of running away with it. They are awesome. VJ Edgecombe, Cedric Coward, Derek Queen, kind of like your consensus top 5 if you're going off just like pure raw numbers. But Collin Murray-Boyles has been fantastic. And for a rookie to be as impactful to winning as he has been, I think is kind of abnormal. Yes, the counting stats are not quite there, but just I don't know, man. It's hard to think of too many times a rookie has come in and just been this helpful from day one for a team that is winning at a high level. I mean, Duane, you might be able to speak to this. It shouldn't be this easy for a rookie, right? It not to say that it's easy because it's always hard, but it seems as though Collin Murray-Boyles has not skipped a beat from college to the NBA, physically, timing-wise, the speed of the game. It's just all coming to him so quickly. This is not normal.
Yeah, it's not normal, but shout out to him for being from the Gamecocks, family.
Right.
The school has something to do with it. But outside that, CMB, the reason why I feel like his impact shows up so much is because it shows him purpose. He's not just playing out there with flash, and he affects possessions without needing any plays being called for him. And when you understand that as a player, I'm someone who functions that same way in the CBL, where I'm just a high usage guy, but I don't need a play to be specifically called for me. I'm going to make whatever works of that possession. And that translates for him immediately. Seeing him have that kind of feel for the game that feels like it's ahead of the curve as a rookie, I think CMB understands when to act, and that's been the most important thing for him and his development. But his timely cuts are important, the way he's able to get open, the way he's able to find himself in the short roll situations and make smart decisions out of it, which, guys like Mama are doing as well, and Scottie is probably a pro at. But just seeing him kind of incorporate that into his game, his quick kickouts instead of forcing finishes around the rim, knowing that he's not the tallest guy out there, the most athletic guy out there. And the fact that he's processing speed and not just the effort, I think that, his physicality is really good. He plays with strength. He plays with balance. And I think that he holds his position really well, especially on switches, right? So many times I've seen him kind of imitate Scottie in the sense where he's able to switch off onto these elite ball handlers and keep them in front. And I think that's great. I remember a game where Houston Rockets were playing in Toronto, and he did a great job of picking up KD. And I'm just wow, the fact that you're able to be a rookie and, have no fear and pick up KD. And even though he got those fouls, just the fact that he didn't back down from his defensive matchup, I think is something to be said. And I just love the way he screens. This stuff is not, in the stat book, but it's something that shouldn't be overlooked. If you're a basketball player, a fan who loves basketball at a high level, then if you know, you know. And the fact that he sets solid screens that are legal, legal solid screens. The fact that he re-screens and he forces the defense to make a mistake, and the fact that he keeps the offense flowing with his, passing ability, I think is exceptional. And then, of course, as the three-point shot continues to develop, we'll see him be more effective from distance. But I like the fact that he's not a one-trick pony and he's versatile on the offense and defensive end. I think the ceiling is the sky for him, and the sky's the limit for him. You know what they say. So I love his potential. And if he continues to develop at this level, I know injuries have been an issue as of late, but if he continues to develop under Darko's, regime, I think that he'll be a great player going forward.
Yeah, man. And I don't think it can be understated how can't be overstated. I'm bad at English, as it turns out. It can't be overstated how wildly impressive it is that he has kind of solved the what do we do without Jakob Poeltl problem, right? They have just had no clue without Poeltl in recent years, and Murray-Boyles comes in as a 6'7" sort of pseudo big man, and it's oh yeah, maybe he's actually better at the position right now. It's kind of crazy, man. And we'll see. Does that hold up against all opponents? No, probably not. There are going to be times where he gets moved around by bigger dudes. I mean, you mentioned the Rockets game. Not only did he pick up KD in that game, he also had to bang with Steven Adams underneath. And, in his fourth career NBA game, can't have been very pleasant. But he's been totally game for it. And he just, again, the strength, just comfort with the speed of the NBA. You mentioned his little kick-out passes. One of my sneaky favorite things that any Toronto Raptors player does is he maybe gets that high-low feed, and then he's just scanning and looking and usually throwing a pretty sweet pass. He's had a couple of behind-the-back missiles, a couple of just total darts through a bunch of bodies. I think as he gets more comfortable, as he starts to get more plays run for him, I think that playmaking, that connective passing is really going to pop. And I mean, even over the last 13 games he's played since Poeltl went out of the lineup for good on December the 21st, 9.5 points, 8.3 boards, 3 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks. He's just kind of doing everything. And, going back to the all rookie thing, I think first team, like we said, the sort of raw counting stats guys, Flag, Knipple, Edgecombe, Coward, Queen, probably just going to be the 5 guys there. I think you could argue that, maybe Coward falls out for Collin Murray-Boyles at some point, especially if you factor in the effect on winning and the defense and all of that. Those numbers, though, are kind of undeniable independent of team context. But then you get to the next set of guys sort of on the Kia rookie ladder from the NBA, just kind of going straight off of raw stats. And it's Caleb Love, Igor Doman, Max Reynaud, Jeremiah Fears, Trey Johnson, Ace Bailey, all nice players, very good rookie class, but all those guys outside of Caleb Love, who's been kind of a revelation for the guard-starved Blazers, all those guys are doing it on teams that absolutely stink out loud, are going to win between 18 and 24 games. I find it to be way more impressive, way more sort of worthy of all rookie consideration for Collin Murray-Boyles to be doing what he's doing on a team that's actually winning. And if you go to the sort of advanced metrics behind these guys, there's an argument to be made that he has been a top 5 impactful player on a permanent basis. He's 6th in win shares, 4th in box plus minus, 5th in value over replacement player among rookies. The advanced stats case is there. And I think by season's end, if he keeps this up, there's no doubt he's going to be on the second team all rookie. And if they go on and win 50 games and he's a big part of it and Poeltl doesn't play any more games and he's just the full-time center, I think there's a real avenue to be on the first team. Do you think so as well?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that point, Sean. And you talk about all rookie, whether it's second team or just in general, but the all rookie shouldn't just reward usage. I think that it's a reward that already understands, or should reward someone who already understands how to play in the league. And you mentioned CMB being a guy who knows how to play in this league. You can see the reps that he's put in, whether it's to practice, whether it's in film sessions, or whether it's the development that's just being made out there on the court in this execution. I think you made a great point about him kind of being undersized at the big position. That sometimes is an advantage for the Raptors, especially in the style of basketball that's being played and implemented in the NBA in today's era. Of course, he's going to have his challenges against the bigger players, but you cannot question his grit. And I think that is something that we see on a consistent basis. But as a rookie and as a young player, he's doing something at an extremely high level, which is, how do I make my minutes count? How do I make the most of my opportunity so that the coach can continue to trust me and I can continue to get more opportunities to impact these games? So you made a great point. one of the things I was thinking about when you're talking about those other rookies, where if you were to plug in those other rookies onto the Raptors, would they be as effective in this system?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the case. So that's something that you also got to consider as well. If CMB had more opportunity on a team that's worse and that's not fighting for playoff opportunity or for contentions of winning the championship, then would his production value go up more on the stat sheet? Probably. But him just being serviceable for the Toronto Raptors and being a key point and one of the cogs in the wheel as to why they're being successful, I think is more impactful as a player and more gratifying, knowing that I'm on a good or potentially great team, and I'm actually one of the factors as to why we're doing well, as opposed to playing on a bottom half team, knowing that I can get any other shot I want every day of the week, and building bad habits. And I think that is what I'm impressed with most, is that he's developing his game, but doing it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I think back to a guy who reminds me of a lot as a rookie is OG Anunoby back in 2017-18, where he just like stepped in and like in the first couple of weeks, he's like, oh yeah, I'm starting and also guarding James Harden now, and doing an extremely good job of it and forcing him into like a 2 of 12 game or whatever it was. And like the impact he had was immense for a rookie. Like the readiness on defense, again, kind of similar to Collin Murray-Boyles. You just don't expect that from a first year guy. And OG did not make an all-rookie team back in 2017-18. Guys who did make all-rookie teams back then, Josh Jackson, okay. Dennis Smith, all right. Kyle Kuzma, okay, fine, whatever. He was an older guy. He, put up some numbers. Bogdan Bogdanovic, when I think he was like 26 years old. I think in hindsight, OG probably belonged on that team. And that's not to say that like that award, the all rookie team, should necessarily be a projection forward of like who are the best guys going to be, but maybe it should be that. Like, I don't know. Like, I think if you're looking at the guys you're projecting forward, I think Collin Murray-Boyles is probably like 5th or 6th in terms of guys you'd most want on your team, if not higher, from this draft class so far. Yes, if you're building like a winning competitive team going forward. And I think he's been that good. We'll see if the voters get wise. We'll see if he puts up the numbers to make it there, but he's been awesome. And so have you, Duane. Thanks so much for being on the show, man. Do you have anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
Thank you for having me, man. And of course, look out for me and Z Postcast tonight. Going to be a great game. Raptors back at the crib. So of course, shout out to Locked On Raptors Podcast. See us on there. And then shout out to Scene DMs, man. If y'all love movies, look at Scene DMs. Go follow that.
Yes, go, Duane. I'm big movies, man. We'll have to have you on the pod like in the summer or something to do some kind of movie crossover situation, because, there's a wealth of knowledge there. Thank you so much for rocking with the show. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, join the Discord, link in the description of the podcast, join the Everydayer Club, also there in the description of the podcast. $5 a month, $50 a year, gets you ad-free access to the show and a bunch of other fun perks, so you can go and do that. And we'll talk to you again on Thursday, breaking down Raptors Knicks. Looking forward to it. Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye.